Okay, hold on just a mo. Pop out the chat. And let's pop it on. And hello. Welcome to tonight's show, where we're going to continue what we started on Sunday. And that means we're making soldiers. Yes, soldiers. Now, what we're going to do for that basically means I'm going to go start off in 3D Studio Max and make two different helmets. I'm then going to stop hiccuping. Then I'm going to make a tunic, a sleeveless tunic, that will end up being either male or what can only be called splint. It's not a historical thing, but it looks kind of cool and it's appropriate for what I'm getting ready to do. And then we'll go to sculpting the base body of the figure and the arms. Then proceed to swap out both helmets and both tunics to be used for, the bodies. Then play around with different weapon types for use in the hand, and then shield or not. And so I guess the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start in 3D Studio Max. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to file, import, and I'm going to go meshes, legendary foes, prime minister. Yes, these are soldiers in the service of an evil prime minister. Base body. Import. Okay. The head is mostly symmetrical. And we're going to make two types of helmets. A barbute and a bassinet. Actually, let's see. I'm going to go ahead. I'm coming back into this. I'm going to do a real quick Google image search. I do these off camera because I don't like, the chances of getting a copyright strike from them. Barbute. Okay, I've already got a barbute in my library. Bassinet will pretty much be just a kind of a conical topped helmet with a visor. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and make now. So it's back to here. And it's time to make the bassinet. Now, I'm going to start with a spear. And it's only going to be 10 segments. And bring it up to the head. Bring it forward. Then, triple poly. Double poly. I hit Control Z instead of Control A. And select here and bring it down just to kind of flatten it out a bit. Okay, then we're going to select here and drop it down. And we're going to rotate it. We're then going to delete this and proceed to play around with the neck in general. Alright, now we're going to loop And we're we're going to chamfer 0.01. Use this to select only that loop. Bring it down a little bit. Rotate it that way. Bring it down a little bit more. And then we're going to scale it. Now, to make it conical, I'm just simply going to select here. Bring it up and back a little. Select here. Bring it up and back a little. Now, we're now going to select here, connect in two places about that wide. We're then going to select this one, loop. We're going to scale it up a little bit and then drop it down. That's so that we have a nice sharp chin area. But this one, we're going to loop, and I'm going to hit Control Backspace to remove that particular. We're going to select here, loop, and we're going to chamfer it a little bit. The reason for this is we're going to make it a more even curve. So it's not at, a more even curve. So it's not as jar shaped. Now I'm going to edit, clone, copy, and I'm going to select the area that's going to be the faceplate. There. Control I, delete. Now I'm going to hide unselected. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this half because I'm going to be working entirely on just this half. And one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to cut. I'm going to start at this corner, go down to here, and then down to here. And then just to make sure, I'm going to check to make sure is this only one vertex? Yes, it is. Okay. Then I'm going to delete these. The reason I did that instead of simply moving those two vertexes, well, if I only moved those two vertexes, I couldn't necessarily make certain they were on the plane. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to select here, and I'm going to connect with 1. I'm then going to select here, loop, and chamfer. Let's go down a little bit to there. Okay. And then I'm going to select here and delete. Now I'm going to unhide by name, and I'm going to unhide the sphere. I'm also going to change this one's color to purple. Then check to make sure that these are on an X of 0. They are not. They're on a 0.2, so bring that to 0. I then select to make sure the pivot is at 0.0. It's not. It's at 0.2. Then I'm going to grab this one, move it to 0.2. Select here, and I'm going to shell. Way too much. 0.125 and 0.1. I forgot to mirror it. There we go. Copy. Yay. Okay, and now here we're going to attach the other one. And then select those and weld. That's 5 vertexes. Now we're going to shell it. Collapse all. Now I'm going to take these vertexes, not vertexes, these polygons. I'm going to extrude them. Actually, no, before I do this, I need to shell 0 and then in 0.5. I want it in pretty deep to make sure that it goes into the head. So there we go. Collapse all, edible poly. Now, once again, we select here and here, and deselect here, because we don't want the inner polygons selected, only the outside. We are then going to extrude them out, local normal, until they're just ever slightly larger than the barbute faceplate. 0.25. Then we're going to select each of these here and here. Actually, better yet, let's do it this way. Let's select that edge, collapse. That edge, collapse. As you can see, we are now breaking away and taking away that, let's go ahead and say edge faces. Collapse. 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 Then we're going to do it here. We're collapsing these because what that does is that re-welds it without us having to worry too much. Then we're going to pivot around to here. We're going to select, oh, let's pivot to there. Select here, collapse, and then here, collapse. Then we're going to select these. We're going to extrude inwards. The end result will be, this will look like this will allow what little eyes you can see to see. Okay, now accept it. And we're going to zoom out. Select both of them. Make them the same color. Let's make this pale blue. Turn off edge faces and smooth them down to 1. Collapse all. Then we are going to select just the faceplate, and we are going to select these edges. Oh, gotta make it a poly. Those edges, these edges, these edges, these edges, these edges, and these edges, and these edges. And you see what I'm doing. I'm selecting the edges that will need to have a hard angle to them. And we are going to chamfer them a 0.001. And that is going to be mesh smooth 1, 2. Collapse all. Then we go back to this, and we are going to select the edges that need to have a hard edge, which, starting off here, loop. 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 Okay, we are going to chamfer them 0.001. And then, just for the sake of smoothing this bottom end down, I'm going down here, selecting here, and welding them. Okay, now, mesh smooth 1, 2. Now, before we do anything else, I've got to let you know I am going to be tweaking this in ZBrush. Now, let's make sure, will this unhide all? Okay. Collapse all. Attach faceplate. And then FFD box, set number of points to 666. Okay. Then, control points, select here. I'm going to drop down so it's over the eyes. And I'm going to select here, and we're going to expand those outwards. Then we're going to select all of them and narrow until the ears aren't really seen. Okay, that's all. Now we're going to file this, export this out. Export selected. Wavefront OBJ. And that's going to meshes, legendary foes, Prime Minister, the sold Helm 01. Export. Done. Now we're going back into Daz Studio so I can load in base male, give him the base pose that I did, and load in our butte. Oh, that would help if I... There we go. Then we're going to hide him. That only the barbute is visible. We're going to export it. And this is going to simply be Desold Helm 02. Accept. Now we're going into ZBrush. And hello, Mark and William. Pretty much it is, Mark. Selecting edge loop, you select an edge. For a ring, it selects all the edges parallel until you know, or following along like that until you get to a weird angle. And for loop, it follows the ones that connect end to end. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import from the meshes, legendary foes, Prime Minister. I'm going to load in the soldier body first. Edit. Frame zoom out. Then I'm going to insert, Polymesh 3D, import. Let's make it the tunic base. That's not a tunic. Okay. Back to Dev Studio real quick. And we're going to load in the tunic base. Hide him and export this as the tunic base. Yeah. Okay, now back here. We're going back up to the body and we're going to insert, import, tunic. There we go. Yay, got the coif and the tunic. Now, just for the sake of loading everything else in, we're going to insert Polymesh 3D, import Katzbalger. As you can see, that's a type of short sword that's kind of in between a short and a long, and it was carried mostly as a side sword. And then we're going to hide it. Insert Polymesh 3D, import bar mace. Now the bar mace is an unusual weapon, as you can see. It wasn't so much used in warfare as much as it was used by town guards. And they would use it because it was exceptional at disarming. Not by knocking the weapon out of someone's hand, but by breaking the weapon. It was also taught with a fighting style that emphasized non-lethal strikes. So it was ideal for people like town watchmen to deal with drunken, disorderly louts. Go figure. And then we're going to insert the last weapon, which is very basic halberd. This is a Germanic style halberd, by the way, for those who don't know their history. Now we're going to insert Polymesh 3D, import shield. Again, this is a Germanic style shield, a variant on the standard heater. Now we're going to hide the shield. We're going to start inserting the two helmets. Helmet 1 fits perfectly over the coif, but we still probably might want to hide the coif. And we're going to pop this up to the coif. And then we're going to insert, import Helmo 2. Okay, that one actually we can fit over the coif. Well, we might want to hide it anyway. Now, the next thing is, is the pauldrons. Insert, Polymesh 3D, import paulds. Yeah, Katzbalger, shield, bar mace, body, coif, tunic, halberd, helm, paulds. There we go. The pauldrons I'll be wearing. Okay, nice. Now, what we're going to be doing next, we're going to geometry, subdivide, delete, lower, Dynamesh 768. And subdivide at once, delete lower. Tunic, geometry, divide, delete lower, 512, Dynamesh, divide, delete lower. Now, what's going to happen next is we're going to trace over the torso portion of this particular tunic. And I'm going to do it with this. It is going to be a sleeveless garment. That way we can make it, what we need it to do. now we're going to, well, let's go ahead and make it lazy mouse, just because I like being able to do a nice even curve. That's the advantage of lazy mouse, by the way. If you want to do a curve, it's the easiest way to do a nice, more natural looking curve. Then I'm going to draw around below the hip. The reason for this is because I am not going to be blending the tunic with the guy just yet. There we go. And then now we're going to go a little wider than expected here, because what we want to do is this is going to be cut by the same cutting tool that's going to cut. And I can hear thunderstorm. That's not good. Anyway, this is going to get cut by the same cutting tool that's going to cut the basic figure itself. And as such, it's going to need a little bit overlap. Okay, let me go ahead and hide the hands. Whoop. Because the hands are kind of, and the forearms are kind of in the way. There. Now I'll turn off the lazy mouse, make it a couple bits bigger, and just start filling in the gap. Mind the gap. What's going to happen is we're going to extract this, dynamesh it, and then fuse it into the bit below. Now let's go ahead and shrink this just a little bit so I can erase this. Okay. Now, let's turn off transparency, bring those arms back, and we're going to extract at 0.02, that'll do. No, let's make it 0.015. Accept. There we go. That'll do. Then we go back up to our buddy, turn off his. Now, we're going to merge down. Geometry. Dynamesh of 512. And before we make it bigger, we're going to blend it in. Then we're gonna load in, or make visible again, the body. And then we'll do what we normally do. Okay, subtool, make the body visible. We're going to switch to move. Make the mouse a good bit bigger. And we need to kind of pull that out of there. Pull it over there. And then do that. No, it didn't work. Geometry. Dynamesh. Smooth that out. Smooth the entirety of this backside out. And then go back to and move the butt out because we need it to not be in contact with the actual figure there. Okay. Now, before we do anything else, I just remembered I also forgot one other piece. Based on the time period, these guys would have this style boot cuff. So, export the sold boot cuff. Accept. There we go. Yeah. Excellent. Now what we're going to do is with this, we're going to Z-remesh. Bring that to there, bring that to half. Keep creases and Z-remesh. While it's doing that, hey, bang bang! What can you hear over my mic? The thunder? Yeah, probably. Not surprising. And it's done. It's 76,000. Let's turn on lines so we can see how small these are getting. Let's do it again. Okay. Now we're going to do it again. We're going to keep doing it until we get to about 2,000 or 3,000, maybe 5,000 because it does have that interior chunk. Boom. Yeah, because I've got my tablet in my lap, Carlton has decided to hide under the bed. 26,000, let's drop it down. It should bring it down to about 19,000, maybe 21,000. Need to keep going. It'll be a little bit faster every time. Turn off keep creases. And that might make it to 8. Or 9. 14. Nope. Meh. Drop this to 50. Z-remesh. 13 becomes 8. 8! There we go. And then let's do it at least once. Twice more. 4,300. That'll do. That'll do, Pilgrim. That'll do. Okay, and we're going to export this back as the solid base tunic. Yes, I want to replace it. And then I'm going to load in UV layout. Load. Legendary foes, Prime Minister, base tunic. What's going to happen next is Spark. Okay. Now next we're going to bring it into 3D Studio Max. I'll show you how I'm going to handle that. File, import. Actually, Z, 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 Z. Go to 14. We're going to take curve strength to 100. And what we're going to do is we're going to do Z remesher guides. Shrink this just to make it easier. Now, frame and then move. Okay. What's going to happen is come around this way. Come around that way. And then to there. Okay, that's a guide. What that means is there will be an edge loop along that line. Now here we're going to be a little bit more circumspect, almost literally. We're just going to kind of swoop it around. There. And here. Same thing, we're going to swoop it around on the inside of this. And then we're going to do the same thing on the inside of the neck. Okay, so we're going to take this, I'm just going to come around and then come around on the inside. That's all I needed. Now, frame out. We're going to Z remesh again until we get it down to that about 5,000. Z remeshing error encountered. What the fuck? Alright, how about this? Okay, keep groups. Now, do it one at a time. And then now try it. Okay, excellent. That's what I needed to see. Frame out. We got 3 groups. Keep groups on. Alright, now we're going to export that. We go back to UV layout. We load solid base tunic. And now what we have is we have the lines already set up. Groups. No, we don't want that. Alright, so. Excellent. We're going to just move this out. Then split there, split on top there, and then split down here. Go forward, drop, drop. And finally here, we're just going to give it just a half-hearted drop. Just a little something to let us split it in half. Drop, drop. That's it. Now we go to display, UV. Rotate that, rotate that, rotate that, rotate that. Oh, rotate that. And then F, wonk. Optimize, run for 10 minutes. It won't run for 10 minutes. It won't get anywhere near that long because it's very simple to flatten these out. Okay, that's all we need. Now, we're going to rotate them along axes. That's good enough. I'm going to take these right here and shrink them a lot. Then we're going to pack, best, pack all. Okay. Now we're going to move this down here with these. And we're going to save all, save, dismiss, exit, exit. And before we do anything else, we're going to go open this program. We're going to open up Foes, Prime Minister, Soldier's Tunic. Okay. Tools, assigned group, Tunic. Then I'm just going to select these. Tools, assigned to group, border. And then I'm going to tools, vertices, weld, none needed, excellent, save. That's good. And then go back to ZBrush. And at this subtool, we're going to import the solid-based tunic. Okay, that's excellent. We're going to turn that off. And we are going to geometry, divide it several times. It needs to be about there. And we're going to duplicate it. Now, we're going to do them one at a time. For this one, we are going to surface, noise, UV, frame over here, alpha, resculpt minis, alphas, and this one's going to be, let's make it splints. Reduce the basic noise, strength, and reduce the alpha scale. I want it to be about there. The idea being that by being at that scale, it kind of has, it's big enough to look, but not big enough to really change the outline too much. And then we click mask by noise, masking inverse, select that group, zoom out, select it all to mask it all, and now the inside and the bottom are masked from what we're about to do, which very simply put is we're going to go to deformation and inflate. Inflate out far enough that it should have a recognition in the figure. Then we're going to masking inverse, and we're going to select this again, frame, zoom, and we are going to mask it. And now we're going to deformation, we're going to deflate it ever so slightly. Because what that'll do is that'll give us a bit more of an edge on these. Now when we go to our subtool and make him visible, you can see that is a studded plate. Now we can see we're going to probably need to move the butt. So we're just going to go back to move, make it a little bit bigger, and kind of grab and move out the butt. Move out the butt. There we go. And there's our splint armor that's going to end up being chopped. I'm going to hide it and make the new one visible. This one is going to be male. So we go back to surface, we go to noise, we go to UV, alpha on or off, and we select the male. Basic noise down to 0. Mix basic noise to 0. Increase that strength quite a bit, and then start dropping down the scale probably till about 0.24. Okay. No, it's too small. 0.3. Okay. Then mask by noise. Masking inverse. And hold on just a second.
A phone call is here. A phone call is...
Sorry about that. Back to ZBrush. I'm gonna mask off that, and now we're not gonna inflate out as much with the chainmail. Now we go to masking inverse. Once again, select the interior and mask it off. And then now in deformation, we're going to deflate it. The reason we deflate after we inflate is it gives us a bit of an undercut. And in this case, we're going to do it more inverse, because it will round out those rings. Okay. And now we make him visible. Let me double check the butt. We need a little bit of the butt move. Move in the butt. No, we still need a little bit of butt moved. There we go. And then here we need to grab and move it out. And there we go, we got a butt moved. That is how we make our two different hauberks. Now, one of the things we're going to be doing is I need to go ahead and insert a new poly mesh. That poly mesh, Buzzbutt, hey, Buzzbutt, get out of the trash can. Get out of the trash can. Anyway, those Prime Minister cutters arm subs. And we're going to duplicate it and move the duplicate down below the other one. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to Dynamesh at 1024, the male, leave it Dynameshed. Go to the arm cutters, there, make sure to put it on the crescent, and we're going to Dynamesh them at 512, Dynamesh, and then we're going to polygroups, group as Dynamesh sub. Go back to subtool and merge down, always okay. Then control and click and drag off of the model, and it will re-Dynamesh. In this case, subtracting the arm cutters, as you see. This tells us exactly where This will be, and if we look, oh, the pauldrons are going to need to be moved. But yeah. Now we hide it, and we go for the next one. So, first things first. Geometry. Dynamesh of 1024. Dynamesh. We leave it dynameshed. Turn this crescent. Geometry Dynamesh of 512. Dynamesh. Then polygroups. Group as Dynamesh sub. Select the tunic. Merge down. Click and drag off of the tunic. Bing. And there we have our other male. And again, if we look here, we're going to need to move those up because they're going to be in the way of both tunics, and we don't want that. So we're going to grab and move up, 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 up to the heavy side layer. If you know what that's from, cheers. If you don't worry about it. I will say this. It is an award-winning theater performance that will mess with your head whenever you see it, and probably caused several different kids to become furries. Now we're going to hide those. Anyway. Now, zoom back out. We have our soldier body. I'm going to take a brief pause and come back into the camera because my brain is hurting. Now, it's 8:21 and all I've managed to get done is the tunics. What I need to do on the arms. Detail the hands, make the bracers, make the sleeves. On the bodies, I need to make a belt. Once I've done that, and I've cut the arms off of the figure and cut the figure off the arms, and loaded in the socket balls on the torso, then it'll be nothing but turning on things, fusing, Dynamesh, decimate, export. Turning on things, fusing, Dynamesh, export. Because I've got most of the pieces actually made. But I need to make the upper sleeves, the bracers, detail the hands, make the belt. Then I'll be good. Now the upper sleeves, considering the time period, I'm tempted to make them puffy with a little bit of slashing. But I'm not certain that would be right. Which is why I came back to the camera so I can do a Google image search. 1550 German foot soldier. Not a Landsknecht. Okay. Looking at what I'm seeing, a basic trooper. That's from a Flemish trooper with a put of hair. Yeah, they pretty much have the slashed sleeves. So I'm gonna go ahead and come back in here and back to ZBrush. Now I'm gonna hide those. And it's going to be time. I'm going to switch to the standard brush, so I got a smaller brush. I'm going to start off by making the bracers. Okay. We're going to take the arm down. And these are going to be, this is fantasy. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate to the time period. There. And there. Let's remove that. Whoop. Now we're going to extract these at 0.02. Accept. Draw. Delete. And what we're going to do now is we're going to deselect right here. And then we're going to make this particular bracer kind of angled back into the arm. There we go. Now, extract. Yeah, that's much better. Accept, draw, draw. Now the bracers, we're going to do very simple with them. We're going to dynamesh them at 512. Subdivide them until they're about there, yeah. Then we're going to use seam 21. We're going to make it huge. We're going to make sure that it shows up on the print. Okay, we need to make it a little bit deeper. And here. Then we're going to inflate, shrink it down a little bit. We're just going to kind of go over those. And make sure I didn't get... Okay. There. That's the bracers. Now for the sleeves, well, we're going to make the sleeves and then not attach them to the arms until after we have chopped them off the body, just in case there's a nick. So, actually, let's wait until we chop the arms off the body in general. Now, to create the belt, we're going to insert yet another tunic. And we're going to geometry, divide, delete, lower, and we're going to hide him and the bracers. We can see that it's going to be, pull it back a little here. We're going to make it kind of big. We're going to make the tunics both visible. And then we're going to extract out at 0.03. Extract. Accept. Draw. Delete. Okay, now we're going to here, and we are going to there. Yeah, there we go. Buckle. We're going to go kind of near the middle. Oh, let's go to depth. Change that. Yeah. then going to move. And actually that's good enough. Split unmasked parts. Geometry, no. So geometry, divide, delete lower. And just to make things cool, we're gonna load in to make the boots visible. Where did I load the boots? There they are. And let's put on the coif. Now, one thing about the coif I forgot to do is the coif is pretty much ready to be mapped. I'm going to go ahead and reopen that. Load. And legendary foes, Prime Minister, coif. Wait a minute, load. Did I edit? Yeah, I already did the coif. Okay, so close it. Alright, what we're going to do with the coif is we are now going to geometry. We're going to subdivide it until it looks very smooth, and that should be about right. Then we're going to surface, noise, UV, alpha, and go back up, pre-sculpt, alphas, male. Drop the basic noise, increase the strength, and drop that scale until it's about, say, 0.3. No, it's too small. We need it bigger, so we're going to edit that to 0.4. Okay, that should do it. Then we turn mask by noise. Masking invert, deformation. We're going to inflate for a bit. We got masking inverse. I'm going to deflate for a bit. Not that much. And masking inverse. And we're going to inflate again. Okay. Now we're going to go to move. Drop that back down a bit, and we're going to lift the coif up a little bit to be blatantly on top of that. Because this is supposed to be on top of. And if we don't make it distinct, there's the coif. We're then going to, the subtool, we're going to see what happened, how it looks with the other one. Okay, it looks pretty good with that one too. Alright. Now, let's go ahead and hide all these. Go back to him. Hide the belt. Make the bracers visible. And we're going to make the sleeves. So, transparency. First things first, we're going to select a little bit of overlap from the bracers. A little bit, not a lot. Then we're going to select here. And in this case, we're going to do it this way. And then a little bit back here. And a little bit here. Then, just to do things right, we're going to masking, grow, sharpen. That'll be just in case there's any pixels that we missed, it'll inflate and cover those up. Now, we're going to extract. .01 extract. Accept. Draw. Turn off transparency. Hide the bracers. Select the sleeves. 3. Dynamesh of 256. Dynamesh. And then we're going to go back to standard just to have a small brush and smooth out where they meet the arms. We're going to detail these sleeves after we cut the body away. Because that will let us do all sorts of fancy things. Alright, we're going to subdivide them a couple times, delete lower. Alright, now it is time. First things first, we are going to take this thing and we're going to duplicate it. And I'm going to insert Polymesh 3D, import, and go down. Legendary foes, Prime Minister cutters, arm subs. But the one up here is going to have a bigger one. We're going to insert Polymesh 3D, import torso sub. Yeah! Looks like he's wearing a costume of a refrigerator with an ice maker right over here over this hand. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to this one, we're going to make sure that it is Dynameshed at 1024. Then we're going to go here, make sure it's got that crescent moon. Dynamesh of 768. It's got an orb in it, that's why. Dynamesh, and then polygroups. Group is Dynamesh sub. Select him, merge down, and click and draw away, and this should end up with us having arms. Yep. And now you see arms with the sockets. We're going to merge that down. We turn on the sleeves and the bracers. Okay, the sleeves, we're going to merge those down. I'm going to do it again. There we go. Now, we're going to smooth that out. Actually, we didn't even need to do all that. Yeah, we don't even need those sleeves because we can do it on the arms themselves. Alright, and anyway, we're going to hide the arms. Now, we're going to subtract the arms. This guy, Dynamesh at 1024. Dynamesh. Here. Subtool. This guy, Crescent. Dynamesh at 512. Polygroups, Dynamesh sub. Subtool. Merge down. And subtract it. Now, you'll notice that the arms have sockets in them, but the body doesn't have the spheres because, well, first of all, there's one thing I want to do. I gotta select that. Masking, inverse, visibility, hide points, geometry, copy topology, delete hidden. I'm going over here to trim rectangle. The reason I'm going for trim rectangle is there's a piece right here, right in that underarm area, that's a bit naughty. It's going to be a problem to clean off. So rather than cleaning it off, I'm going to trim it off. There we go. And then just smooth that. Frame out. Now, in order for him to have the spheres for the sockets, I've actually created something else that goes in the cutters. Socket adds. Geometry. Divide, divide, divide. Delete lower. And subtool. Merge down. Turn that off. Oh, hell. That's what I thought. Split unmasked points, yeah. There we go. This needs to be going down. So merge down and drop. And presto, it's now one piece. Now, the torso is pretty much, for the most part, ready. And we can swap out pieces. This particular helmet needs help. This particular helmet, not only do I need to divide it a few times, but I need to add on these, what I'm calling disc buckles, to represent the joint and to hide this. No. Embed 0. Place that right at the edge again. Close to the middle as I can and bring out. Excellent. Now that's going to be not right. Make it here. That's good, yeah. Subtool. Split unmasked points. Go back around here. Go to here. That's about right. Split unmasked points. And then we're going to merge these down. Geometry, divide, divide, delete lower. Select the helmet, merge down. Geometry, Dynamesh 768. frame out. And here we have, thus we have 1, 2, 3 helmets. And 1, let's make this one. 1, 2 shirts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the arms and move them way down. Because all of the weapons are part of the arm. I'm going to hide everything that's part of the body, because we still need to finish making the arms. And the way we're going to do this is with the clay build-up brush. Alpha 1, 29, shrink it down a bit, and make sure we turn off lazy mouse for this. Okay. Sip of soda. We're going to select the arms, not the bracers. Get the tablet back in the lap for accuracy and precision and artistic squibbles. I'm going to turn on transparency just for this. Alright, we're then going to kind of... Whoa, too big. And then kind of just... Now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm getting a lot of info here. What's going on? Okay. Okay. We're gonna sharpen the digs in there. So now we go to slash. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of come up this way. Just kind of there we go. That's the sleeves. And to be exact, now let's down to do the hands. So we're going to go to inflate, drop that down to 11. I say 11 because that's usually about the size the brush ends up being for the knuckles. And sure enough, right there, bang, right smack dab Boom. And then we're gonna mark off the knuckles. The thing about hands on miniatures, they are so small by comparison. You can paint them as if they have gloves, or paint gloves as if they're bare hands. And unless it's a specifically known character like a superhero, no one will ever know. Now, here. Oh, I forgot to do this on the other side. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the other side and do that. Smooth. And frame out. And there we have our arms, and they already look pretty darn good. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge them down with the bracers and that. Then we're going to Dynamesh them at 1024. Then we're going to polygroups, autogroups. The reason for that is now I can split off the arms. We go back to Subtool, Split, Unmasked Parts, and let's take this guy, drop him down twice, cancel, duplicate, and make the shield visible. Now, one thing we're going to do with this shield see that right there? Yeah. The inside back is a separate piece. So we're going to hide that. We're going to geometry, modify topology, weld points, and then divide, delete lower. Select that only. We're then going to mask it all off. We're then going to get the rake tool, subtract about there, and we're just going to draw in a basic. All right, first of all, too intense and too small. A basic wood grain into this, so that when it comes time to paint, there's already some basic wood grain there. And then, to emphasize things, we're getting damn standard, narrow, long, and we're going to draw deep, and then draw deep. Didn't do so well, so we're going to do it lightly and come back over the same edge. There we go. Now that's our shield. So, almost everything else from here on out can be done by doing what I'm about to do. merge down, draw. Let's and while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and pop open the Z plugin and Decimation Master. So the shield arm, that's going to be 20,000 points. Okay, now the socket. Now this one. This arm doesn't have a shield. It's also going to be 20,000 points. We're going to now hide it. We're going to duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. We're going to take each one of these and move them down to above the appropriate weapon. So for example, this one, merge down. And then we're gonna kind of smooth out the weapon. Okay, and then we're gonna decimate it to, this one's big, so 35K. Okay, now we go to the bar mace. The bar mace needs to be subdivided. And then we're going to merge that arm onto the bar mace and dynamesh it. Then this one's, let's make that custom points 25K for this and the Katzbalger custom. Okay, now I'm going to hide that arm. And the Katzbalger also needs to be subdivided rather. And we're going to merge that down. Geometry, dynamesh, 25K points. And then 20K for the empty hand. And so now we have just made 7 arms. 6 arms. 4 right arms, 2 left arms. Bam! Okay, now it's going to be complex. We need to make 2 more of those and 2 more of those. This we need to make the belt and boots part of this. So merge down, merge down. Okay. Now what we're going to do, okay, we got, okay, duplicate, 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 duplicate. Okay. Now we're going to take the coif and move it up quite a bit. Let me go ahead and turn off all of these bodies. There. We're going to duplicate it and drop that down 1, 2, okay, 3. Okay. Now we go the bassinet instead. And we take that up quite a bit. We bring it up here. And now we have bassinet with the male. And we duplicate it. And that one we have to drop down until it's on the first empty splint. Now, splint is not real armor. It does not actually exist. And this is already over splint. Go ahead and turn that off. But we need to duplicate it. Actually, before we do, delete it. And the duplicate we already have, we need to subdivide. Delete lower. Okay, now. There. Now, duplicate. Down, 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 down. Okay. So let's turn off everything. I'm going to start here. Down, down, drag. 35,000. Okay, that was him. That was easy. Okay, so now, and then down, down, drag, and 35,000. See how easy this is now that I've got the pieces in place. 6 bodies, 4 right arms, 2 left arms. 48 figure potential. Just from tonight and Sunday. That's right, Sunday night and tonight are the only times I've worked on this figure. Okay. Now, merge, down, down, draw. 35K. All right. Now, merge, down, down, draw, oh, draw, 35K. Okay. Now, merge, down, down, draw, and 35K. Okay, and then finally down, down, draw, 35K. And there we have it. That's all of the pieces for our, let's just go ahead and just for the sake of S&Gs, let's turn on a couple of these sleeves. Let's make them Sword and Shieldsman. And here we have just a sample soldier made with what we've done in the past 2 broadcasts. Wearing what could be considered medium armor with a sword and a shield. Also could be used as a low-level fighter PC, I guess. And I'm going to go ahead and save this tool. Soldier V tool. And come on back to here. So, y'all enjoy that? $9:05, so it took less than, just a little over an hour and a half tonight, and what was it, half an hour on Sunday? I could have done this whole thing in 2 hours. 48 potential figure combinations, not counting the fact that you can rotate the arms. Now, one thing I would like to remind you all, down below, I mentioned it, I've added a channel about old school tabletop gaming. And it's not just about old school games. It's also about like what it's like as an old school gamer playing through all of this time. From the early 80s, actually from your point of view, from the early 80s until now. 35, almost 40 years. Playing D&D and more role-playing games and tabletop war games than you can shake a stick at. I'll talk about game systems. I'll talk about genres. I'll talk about play styles. I might even go in depth into individual systems that aren't around anymore. I mean, one of the first one that comes to mind is the old TSR Marvel Heroes role-playing game from the mid-80s. Anyway, so we have finished the soldier tonight. I'm probably going to go ahead and head on out simply because I do have to get and go take care of my brother and his wife and walk their dog. There will not be a show Thursday. Got a lot of backlog work I've got to get done. And I don't mean just for the Kickstarter. As it stands, with that soldier done, there's only one figure left to sculpt for the initial layout for the Kickstarter, and that is the Prime Minister those guys serve. So, before I go, I wanted to show off how the Spectres came out. Dadgummit. It's too blue. Let me try this. No, that won't work. Alright, how about if I do this? No. Interference of the screen is making everything too blue. It's actually mostly white. And it's fading down to a dark gray on the edges. This guy, his hands fade into steel for the scythes. And then this guy's chains are more of a rusty steel. But the blue lighting is getting rid of all that rust look. But yeah, and you can see the eyes on all of them are red. Meanwhile, it's 10 after, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. So I will see you all on Thursday. No, not on Thursday. On Sunday. And probably randomly for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time on the new channel. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, don't forget like, subscribe, bell icon, the usual. And I'd like to say thank you for showing up. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my usual. It's going to be a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyone serving in any uniformed branch, even if it's law enforcement, needs to understand the difference between following orders and crimes against humanity. Because there is a difference.